So if you thought the Alexandria Ocasio Cortez saga couldn't get more hilarious, you were sorely mistaken. It started off, just to recap, with Alexandria Ocasio Cortez saying that unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs.
Unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs.
Then, of course, the saga continues with the Green New Deal, which proposed that we pay people unwilling to work and make air travel obsolete. Oh, and of course, don't forget, making white people pay reparations. Yes, this was in fact in the Green New Deal House resolution.
Work our butts off to make sure that we take back all 3 chambers of Congress, all 3 chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020.
Then, of course, we move on to the whole Amazon debacle, where they decided not to move into New York after all because they were scared off by Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. This led the Washington Post to even call her an economic illiterate and many other leftist news sources to bash her Green New Deal. Well, now she's back at it again with a whole different point of view after she said that the world was going to end in 12 years, which is kind of like what Bernie said back in 1987.
Some of you may have seen there were some articles in the newspaper recently about the destruction of the ozone layer and the fact that the climate, the temperature on Earth may rise a few degrees. Is that significant? Does that just mean that the summer will be a little bit warm, we can go swimming another day or two? Ben?
Well, it's not, it doesn't seem significant, but if it gets like hardly any warmer, the polar ice caps could melt and like flood the oceans.
Precisely.
But now this brings us to some new drama. Alexandria Ocasio Cortez says that there's a legitimate question that needs to be asked, and that is it okay to have children anymore? She says that having children is going to hurt the environment. This is what many people have been saying and been telling, even more particularly the boomer generation back in the 60s and 70s, about having children and how it's going to hurt the environment. This is parroted by many different mainstream sources, by many different leftist news outlets, of course, saying that having children is going to hurt the environment. But then on the other hand, they also say that we need to accept way more immigration coming from third world dangerous countries to replace the dying population. And of course, we know that in 28 states, probably this is up to about 30 states where more whites are dying than being born. And of course, we have to replace you with third world population because your birth rates are too low. Freshman Representative Alexandria Ocasio Cortez said young people have to ask a legitimate question in the wake of climate change and mounting student loan debt. Is it okay to have children? Stop having children because climate change is happening and that hurts the environment. Oh, student loan debt. Oh, wages are too low. Stop having children. Oh, but also abolish ICE. Open the borders to millions upon millions of low-skilled, low-wage workers flowing in here who mostly haven't even passed high school, who are going to drive down your wages by increasing the amount of people in this country to about 450 million in the next 15 years. That's completely fine, but you have to stop having children.
Our planet is going to face disaster if we don't turn this ship around. And so it's basically like there's scientific consensus that the lives of children are going to be very difficult. And it does lead, I think, young people to have a legitimate question. Is it okay to still have children? And
there's like a scientific consensus, guys. John Cook said it, the self-employed cartoonist, where he created the whole 97% myth. He said it. He's a cartoonist. We should believe him. Oh, never mind all the papers, the climate papers written by the climate scientists that he's using, where those climate scientists say that anthropogenic global warming isn't happening. What are you talking about, John Cook? Sit down, you're not a scientist. Don't think about those things. Just keep regurgitating the 97% myth. The whole quote, the whole premise of the Green New Deal is that we're screwed on climate. I'm sorry to break it to you, she said. When it comes to climate in particular, we're actually screwed. There's a global threat to the planet. She added, at this point, we don't even have to prove it. Just walk outside in the winter in a lot of places, and it's either way worse than you're used to or way warmer than you're used to. Hurricanes, storms, wildfire, she said. We're dying now. Oh, never mind about the Vostok ice core samples, which show 420,000 years of data that shows that the climate has warmed before CO2 increases. Forget about all that. Forget about the climate ever changing, and forget about the climate scientists who say that this is a natural cycle and HEW is fake. Don't worry about that. The planet's dying, and we probably only have 12 years left to live, is what Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is saying. So don't have kids, but accept immigration. While the resolution itself would do little because it's non-binding, it is the first time the policy proposal has been formally outlined in Congress, and it's the first time I saw a non-binding resolution propose that white people pay reparations. Quote, if we called a vote on the Green New Deal tomorrow or Tuesday when I got back to D.C. and it passed, nothing would happen, she stressed, seemingly downplaying the impact should it be passed. Literally, nothing would happen because it's a resolution. It is a statement. Be it resolved, it is us agreeing to a statement, not any binding course of action. We get that. So there you go. Injustices towards minority groups. White people pay your reparations. Create millions of high-wage jobs. You're not going to do that by abolishing ICE and accepting millions upon millions of low-skilled, low-wage workers coming in here. Trust me. Its proposals include net zero greenhouse gas emissions through a fair and just transition for all communities and workers. Many climate scientists, in fact, I've had an astrophysicist on this channel who talked about the greenhouse gases, who talked about the whole climate alarmism being based on a false greenhouse effect anyway, and the science and the math being completely wrong. But a lot of climate scientists that you talk to, if they're not brought and paid for by the people who want to push things like the Green New Deal or this mainstream climate change narrative, which also equals trillions upon trillions of new taxes on all of the Western people, if you ask them, they will tell you that net zero greenhouse gases isn't really possible in an industrialized economy. Trust me. It says, meanwhile, Ocasio-Cortez went on to slam veteran lawmakers for failing at the same time for decades after Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, over the weekend was confronted by a group of children urging that she vote for the Green New Deal proposal. These children that are saying that the planet's going to die, and we covered this video just a little while ago. I think on my second channel I went over this video. And so it says, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, in an apparent swipe at Feinstein, said working on an issue for decades doesn't make you qualified to solve a problem. I also don't think that you should be qualified to be on any financial committees, Alexandria. In her live stream, Ocasio-Cortez also addressed reports that she had moved from her Bronx apartment to another. It's funny, like it gets so weird with all the media attention because it's not a normal thing. It's really not normal. And what's really weird is that it just gets so it's so crazy. It's like people are literally, it feels like, I can't even read this. I can't even read this. Let me just tell you this. If this person got into Congress, that means you could too. The average viewer of this channel, if you wanted to run for office so that we as young conservatives can take over the Republican Party, true nationalists, true conservatives can take over the Republican Party, you can do it. I will help you. I will signal boost for you if you tell me where you stand on the issues. I've said this time and time again. Tell me where you stand on the issues. Send me an email. Show me that you're actually running. Show me that you're serious about it. And I will have you on to boost you. If she can get in, I mean, mind you, her district was overwhelmingly Hispanic, probably voted for her just because of her last name, and she's trying to reward them with replacing the entire American population to look more like her. But given that, she still got in. You can too.
Inaugurated January 3rd, January 4th, we're signing healthcare, we're signing this.
But they don't actually inaugurate Congress people, they swear them in.
And then she went on to say that she was going to get inaugurated on the 3rd and then start signing bills on the 4th. You don't get inaugurated and you don't sign bills. Only the president will sign the bills that you present to him.
But she appears to have her political colors mixed up.
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be hopping on here, Senator Sanders' account, and we're here in Kansas City to rally for Brent Welder. We're gonna flip this seat red in November.
Why did you run?
I ran because I felt like we could do better and that we could be better as a country. And I looked around. Yeah. You know, the benefit of capitalism is that you engage in voluntary trade. It is the system that, unlike all the others, has lifted more people out of poverty over the course of human history than any other system. Well, so I think that those things that you talk about, that you discuss, are part of the course of human evolution, human evolution, human evolution.
Ocasio Cortez says she can't afford to move to Washington. She can't make a deposit on an apartment in D.C. until she gets her first paycheck. Members of Congress earn a solid $174,000 a year.
And if we work our butts off to make sure that we take back all three chambers of Congress, all three chambers of government, the presidency, the Senate, and the House in 2020, we can't start working in 2020.